The SR-71 is the newest twin 40mm jet offered by Horizon Hobby. This is a sleek jet with some fun flying capabilities. Bone stock, it flies pretty well for what it is, and the jet is designed for a 4-cell power system that runs best on 2200 packs. Spectrum 4S packs fit perfectly, so those are our recommendation here. If you have another battery that has a similar profile, you should be able to fly it no problem. Just make sure that it's long and thin, not thick and short. The manual covers setup, and it's really super simple. The onboard flight controller handles elevon mixing for you. Follow the step-by-step instructions and you'll be all set to go. The plane comes out of the box pre-assembled and you have your choice of scale black vertical stabs or solid red stabs for visibility. Horizon is selling this jet at $249.99 right now, and you can pick it up via the affiliate link in the description, a portion of which goes directly to supporting us and helping us bring content like this to you, so you get a solid idea of how these airframes can perform and what to expect from your purchase. Ground handling is pretty easy. There's virtually no risk of tipping the jet over. The gear are wide-spaced and the wings are stubby. All of the mass is concentrated in the center of the jet, so it's very stable on the ground. Ours needed a ton of left rudder trim to make it track straight. Yours may not. Do some ground roll tests before your initial takeoff and find out. Takeoff itself is relatively easy, but it can be tricky to find the right balance of airspeed to keep from tail striking on rotation. Like any jet, keep it tracking straight while smoothly throttling up, then pull the elevator gently to begin rotating it into the sky. Keep throttle up to continue gaining altitude. It has narrow wings but a long, lifting body, so it'll require more throttle than you're used to in order to keep it in the air. If you prefer flying off grass, hand launching is not that hard at all. Toss the jet into safe, throttle up to full, and then throw it. It'll take off no problem. Ours tended to track to the left, but that's because we threw it past a protective barrier of trees that were keeping the wind at bay. Once it hit the wind, it started tracking left. Take it out of safe and maneuver it once you've got a positive rate of climb. You should have no issues hand tossing it with the convenient finger holes on the belly. Landing is probably one of the more tricky aspects of this jet. It's much easier to belly land, but it looks incredible coming in with wheels. Like most jets, come in with enough throttle to maintain as stable of an approach as you can, then set it down on the mains as you flare it by pulling the elevator. The only day worth flying to record the SR-71 was today, which was very windy, and you're seeing how it reacts to the wind here. Definitely reconsider flying it on a day like this if you're dealing with a narrow runway like I am. The lack of a rudder makes it much harder to line up with turbulence and shifting wind. If your pavement kinda sucks like ours does, or if you don't have pavement at all, then we'd highly recommend belly landing. The technique is identical to a wheel landing, except that you keep a flat approach and gently flare at the end. This jet has a ton of tail authority, so don't pull the stick all the way back or it will perform a cobra landing. This is all fine and good until it lands on the tail, which leads me to talking about durability. The SR-71 is pretty tough for a little bird. Horizon reinforced it where it was most likely to take damage. The tail and nose are both plastic. The impacts here did no damage to the plane and it kept on flying, though we did lose the pitot tube in the nose and the grass. Bring a flashlight if you ever lose the tube. It's hard to spot in the shadows of the grass blades. The SR-71 even took a 40-foot drop in a flat spin with no damage. It's really tough for a bird this size. Horizon engineered it well to handle this, though I'm not entirely convinced that they thought anyone would try doing a cobra maneuver, much less that the stall recovery from the cobra would lead to a flat spin. But it went right back up without any problems at all. It's not often that a jet can drop that far in the sky and be totally fine afterward. Rolls are crisp, but they're not fast, so be aware of it before you begin to roll. There is no rudder, so once you start rolling, you need to commit to it. It has enough roll authority to be pleasant, though I'd prefer if it was a little bit faster on days with wind. Pitch authority is more than ample, enough that it'll pull a cobra if you peg the elevator. This blew my mind. All 4 control surfaces at the rear of the jet function and pitch, so it has a massive pitch moment that has a ton of authority. If someone told me that I'd be able to make a blackbird cobra, I wouldn't have believed them until now. Just be aware that a cobra can lead to a flat spin, and the only way to recover is to push the nose down and throttle up. If you try this maneuver, do it very high, at least 150 feet up. Recovery takes a ton of airspace, and you may find that it turns into a lawn dart. What keeps me from being fully confident with it is that I never personally fly without rudder. I'm always using it, so when I don't have it, flying feels weird. The jet competently flies without a rudder, though I would personally prefer having some kind of transparent piece of plastic in between the vertical stabs to operate as a rudder over the steerable nose wheel. Personal preference is what it comes down to. Not everyone is as comfortable using rudder as I am. I mentioned earlier that windy days aren't this jet's best friend, and this is for two reasons. One is that the jet is significantly affected by turbulence, especially the mechanical turbulence coming off of the treetops. I almost lost it in the pine trees here trying to recover. The flight controller does an amazing job keeping it as steady as possible, but you can ease how much work it has to do by flying it on a calmer day. The second reason is that landing on pavement might be difficult without a rudder. If you get into a crosswind, there's no way to adjust for it. Something to keep in mind. I will personally recommend that you fly with the wheels off. The jet was designed to fly like this, and it shows. The wheels out look impressive, but it's absolutely stellar with the wheels up, and it handles better too, and is somewhat more maneuverable with less drag to affect it. I'd only suggest going to wheels in the colder months when the grass dies off, unless you live in Florida, because the dead grass will be sharp and most likely damage the jet. It does go without saying that I doubt Horizon would have pushed a black jet to market if it was going to be damaged easily in the sun, so there's probably some kind of special paint on it that might be a little heat resistant. I'd recommend leaving it in the shade just like any other plane, just in case. There aren't many SR-71s on the market, and this one is in the pricing sweet spot. At $250, it's hard to find a solid value that's better than this one. It's a twin 40mm, so it isn't huge, and almost anyone can transport it. It flies really well at this scale and has an impressive presence to it that I was completely surprised by. The downside is that, well, it's a twin 40mm, so if you were expecting a bigger jet, this ain't it, Chief. Roll authority could stand to be a bit better, and I wish the gear were a bit more detailed and rattled less on the pavement that I have, but maybe that's just a consequence of the poor condition of the pavement at the airport. My overall score is that it's a 9 out of 10, with all the up and downsides factored in. It handles well, isn't particularly hard to fly, but you'll want a decent bit of jet experience before trying to fly it. Consider owning a piece of aviation history and buy it via our affiliate link in the description. We'd love the support. Come chat with us about it on Discord via the server invite too. See you guys next time.